Hello and welcome everybody. This is Clint with the Apple Leisure Group. Today we're going to be going over Apple Vacations groups bookings on Vax Vacation Access, what it's going to look like, how it's going to materialize, how you're going to be requesting quotes once Apple Vacations launches on Vax. The set time so far is November 19th, so look forward to the end of November, right before Thanksgiving. We will have a lot to be thankful for. All right, so you can see that I've signed into Vax Vacation Access, and once Apple Vacation launches, you are going to see that from the supplier drop-down menu, Apple Vacations is going to have what we call an anchor store. The anchor store is a special place where you can go for all the information on booking Apple Vacations on Vax Vacation Access. You can see the Milwaukee ALG brands are here, as well as Travel Impressions, but you will also be able to see information for Apple Vacations. Alrighty, so that anchor store is going to be located starting November 19th down here underneath where it says Vacation Packages, and you'll see Apple Vacations. Now from there, there's going to be information on how to move forward in the group quoting process, how to get a group quote with Apple Vacations. Once you've reached out and you've actually gone through the process to request a quote, the group's team is going to be sending you a quote that looks a little something like this. And I'm going to go through what the quote is going to look like. This is going to be a Microsoft Word document that is sent to whichever agent within your agency requested the group contract and the quote. And you will want to look at the quote before you actually go forward and sign a contract. All right, so looking at this, you can see this Apple Vacations group quote is for the Ashley DeMarcus wedding. It was prepared for by Alexandria is her full name, in the groups department. It was prepared for John Smith, just a generic travel agent name for an Apple Vacations agent. Now below here, you will see that there is going to be a quote number 1 and a quote number 2 because this particular agent wanted the prices for the room nights that you're booking for your clients, not only for the departure date of June 8th, 2019, but also for quote 2, which is June 13th. All right. So you can see that this quote also is quoting for the 13th. All right. So when I go back up, we have quote number 1 for the 6th through the 8th. This is the general departure origin city, and it is coming out of Springfield, Missouri. From there, we're going to Punta Cana, and it doesn't mean that every guest has to be leaving from Springfield. Basically, when you ask for a quote, we're just going to ask that you give the lead passenger's origin and where they're going to, and then possibly, besides the lead passenger, you might need to just, choose a passenger because there may not be a specific lead passenger in your group. But we're going to need some sort of origin place for them to come from. And then you're going to tell us where they're going to and what hotel resort the group is going to be staying with. It'll tell you the estimated total number of passengers that you asked for. So in this case, it's 25 rooms. And we're looking at the double occupancy because you can see it's 50 passengers with 25 rooms, so 2 people to a room. And this contract is hotel only. Now, there's different ways that you can add air onto a group's booking. You can add that group air on by maybe booking one of the Apple exclusive flights. You could also do it by contracting scheduled published air. And you can also add that air on individually once we get into our group's dashboard. And I'll show you how to do that when we unlock the dashboard technology that's going to be available to everyone with a contracted group through Apple Vacations. The way that these contracts will look is it's going to show up the per person package price. I need to let you know that because you might look at this and say, oh my gosh, for 2 people staying in the Majestic Junior Suite, if they're staying 4 nights at a rate of $708.28, that's pretty fantastic until you decide that you are going to multiply that by 2. Okay, and so then it's $1,400, and that seems a little bit more realistic. So once again, we break this up by the room category, We break it up by the number of nights that the client's going to be staying during that group stay. And then we also break up the prices by the occupancy, how many people are staying in that room. Now, once again, this is the quote number one for the way that you're going to book if your clients were going to be going on the 8th of June. And then the other option was this travel agent wanted to know the prices if they went on the 13th of June. So then these are the specific prices from that start date. Now, if you need to add airfare, right now on this quote, it says learn more about booking airfare with your group. When you pull this quote up on your computer from your email, you'll just click on that link, and then it's going to take you into that page that'll explain the process of how to do that. Now, generally, and a lot of these numbers are being hashed out right now. But we say about a minimum of 10 rooms, okay? A minimum of 10 rooms in order to get a contracted group. Now, if you at any time go below that 10-room minimum, that's considered breaking your contract with the group, and you'll be subject to any of the cancellation penalties or fees that comes along with canceling that group as a whole. And we're going to talk about what that looks like. You're going to see them right here on this quote as I go farther down the page. Another question was, does these prices include the taxes and the fees? It'll mention that. In this case, it says it includes the transfers. Okay, I would say it does not include the tourist cards in this particular contract. Otherwise, it would be listed on the quote. And if you need to know whether the taxes and fees are included, which they normally are, you can just ask your Apple Groups team and they'll assist you with that. Scrolling down below here, after you look at your contracted rates for those particular room categories and you read up on how you want to add airfare when booking your Apple's group, there's going to be extra amenities that your clients are going to receive by booking a group. Some of them may be comps, hotel comps that you guys are probably very familiar with. For every so many paid passengers, you as the travel agent can get that extra. In this case, for every 20 paid passengers, you get the price of one back to you. And you can decide how you want that back. Is it going to go back to you as the travel agent as extra commission? Are you going to give some of that money back to the client and split that comp? That's going to be decided after you've booked the reservations, after your clients have paid, they've traveled. That hotel will reach out and let the groups team know, hey, this client has so many passengers and they got so many comps. How do they want to break up that comp money coming back? Now, you might get extra fees or free green fees in this case, but it might also be resort credit. You might get extra private dinners, maybe some welcome dinners, private check-in. It really depends on the reservation and the resort that your clients are booking this Apple Groups with. That's going to define what those extra amenities look like. All right, now down here you're going to notice it talks about, on this quote, the hotel policies. The hotel policies are what would happen if your group canceled as a whole, or if your group cancels off individually after certain days prior to departure. Now, as you guys who are Apple Vacation agents know, the contract, the signing of the contract is 120 days prior to departure. If your client cancels their package anytime before that or cancels the group as a whole, there's no penalty. Okay, there's no penalty. They're going to get their deposits back, all that great stuff. One thing I need to mention, this is just talking about the hotel. Notice it says hotel policies. The way it works with published airfare or any airfare that you have, anytime you put any sort of money towards that airfare, just like on a normal FIT booking, within 24 hours of money being put towards the airfare, the airline is going to hold your clients accountable to any sort of airline revision, cancellation fees, or anything like that. Now, we do have a special process when you decide, hey, I want 30 rooms, or in this case 25 rooms at these contracted groups rates. We're going to give you about 10 days after that contract has been sent to you to make your client's deposit payments to a special reservation number. This reservation number we affectionately call the parent reservation number. And the reason we call it that is it's kind of the buffer reservation number that puts money towards your group to lock in the contract, but it doesn't actually put money towards any of the airfare or actually on any of the hotel reservations that you're going to be booking inside of your group's dashboard. That is good for you because you don't want money towards any sort of inventory until you've started building those packages for the clients and actually confirming those reservations inside of your group. So once again, with the airfare, 24 hours after money's been put towards the airfare, the airlines will hold your clients accountable for any cancellations. But with hotel, this is how it works. Cancel those rooms anytime before 120 days when that contract needs to be signed, your clients get a full refund. Now, if you cancel your group as a whole after 119 days, between 119 and 90 days prior to arrival, it says 40% of the passengers may be canceled without penalty. Passengers canceled in excess of 40% incur a $50 per person penalty. All right, so that is going to be based on how many passengers are actually traveling. Remember, after 120 days, if the contract needs to be signed, payment needs to be done at 90 days. Your clients can get, if they're not one of the 50 or 40% incurring a $50 penalty, they're going to get all the money back for their deposit. What is the deposit? A good rule of thumb, keep it in mind, is $50 per person signing the contract to confirm rates and inventory. Okay, so the deposit is $50 per person. That's what your clients will need to pay to lock in that group. As you get closer and closer to the departure date, okay, the closer and closer you get to the time of arrival, the more the penalties are going to be more heavy and more strict. Let's just go down to the very bottom. You can see it says 35 to 0 days. There's no refund. All right, that means full penalties are going to apply and your clients won't receive anything back should that group cancel as a whole. Final payment, and it says 65 days prior to arrival in this case. So that's actually a little bit more lenient than the 90. But I believe I was talking with our Apple Groups rep, and I think it's still at 90 days right now is when that final payment needs to be made. I can check with her after today's webinar. Going down further, we have travel protection, AVOK. This is going to be helpful if your clients, as they should be, are scared about losing any of that money should anything happen. It's always good to have that extra sense of security when your clients are going on a trip. And just to keep this in mind, guys, when you had the AVOK, cancel for any reason, it's protecting your clients from having to pay those higher penalties should they need to cancel. So really, it's only the amount of the AVOK travel protection that is going to be lost should they cancel. Now, one thing that I was asked on a previous webinar is when should I add the travel protection? And if you think about it this way, let's go back up to the cancellation fees. If your clients are only charged a $50 per person cancellation penalty, if they cancel and they're one of those 40% of the people before the final payment needs to be made, you might want to wait until that contract is signed at 120 days to actually add the payment. Because once you apply travel protection with the AVOK, that's non-refundable. So if they end up having to pay a higher non-refundable fee if they didn't add travel protection prior to 120 days, they could just have potentially a $50 per person fee. You're better to wait until the signing of that contract or until around that contract signing date to actually add the AVOK, especially for those groups that aren't going to be traveling for a while. If you're booking them like 200 plus days out, you might want to wait to add that travel protection until you're closer to that actual contracted date. All right, going down a little bit further, you can see that if you like this and you want to book with this group, you can email groups.fhl@applavac.com. You can also give the groups team a call at 800-727-3404. Their hours are 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. Once you do that, you're going to be given a contract. And unfortunately, I don't have an example of a contract for you right now since everything's really, our teams are working really hard at getting that launch date of November 19th. So stay tuned with all of your communication on the Apple Cafe as we transition over to the VAX Apple Vacations Anchor Store. You're going to be very well informed of any future trainings. Work with your BDMs. Make sure that you are in contact with them as this transition goes through. But really, the process is what we want to look at today. So just know, once you say, hey, I really like this quote, my clients like it, I would like a contract, they're going to be reaching out to you within a couple days with your contract to sign. Now, this contract is going to be a non-modifiable PDF document, okay, sent to you electronically through email. Once you receive that, we're going to have instructions on how you can sign that contract, electronically. You're going to be able to sign it, send it back to us, and we're going to start creating your group's dashboard. And guys, this is really the power of Apple Vacations coming into Vax, all right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to go out of this quote for a second. We're going to scroll down here, and if you need to get a group retrieved after you've already signed your contract, you're going to go up into the top right-hand corner where it says Groups. From here, you're going to select from the drop-down menu, you're going to be selecting Apple Vacations. Today, I'm going to use the generic Transglobal as an example for training, and then I'm going to type in my group. So I actually have a group here that I've already received, and I've already started to do bookings on my group's dashboard. And really what we're looking here, you're going to have the Apple Vacations logo up here in the top right-hand corner. This is going to be an Apple Vacations group, but we just didn't have an example yet because, like I said, our groups team is working heavily on trying to get Apple launched November 19th, and this is how it's going to look. You're just going to see the Apple information here. So your dashboard consists of mainly 3 different parts. The first part is going to talk about what is your group ID, and let me blow this up so you guys can see it just a little bit better. It's going to say, how do you contact the groups team? What is your group ID? It'll have a section here for you to look at the details of your hotel profile that you've contracted your group for. We as a groups team at ALG will have information to your information so we can contact you should anything need to be spoken to you for the group. You're going to see the deposit date, the final payment date, when penalties start kicking in. That's section number 1. Section number 2 is this special booking engine. And I say it's special because this is what's going to allow you to book reservations inside of your group. When you choose your package type, you can do a hotel-only option where you're just booking your contracted room rates, or you can do flight and hotel. And today I'm not going to do a flight and hotel option because for this particular group, we've booked it so far in advance that there really isn't any individual inventory that I can add on to these hotels that we've contracted. But if it was closer and that group flight availability was available, essentially you could go in here and let's say you had a client that was leaving from, well, I probably will never leave from Aberdeen, South Dakota, though I did used to live in South Dakota. That's probably not the airport I would choose. Let's have them going from JFK. And a question just came up. Can we do flights from multiple city origins? Yes. So we're going to go to New York. Let's see, JFK. I could have a client leaving from JFK going to Cancun, and look, I can't switch the destination, which is good. It means you can't mess it up. They're going to be going to the destination for the hotel that you've contracted. If I wanted to, I could book another reservation. So let's say this first reservation was clients leaving from JFK. My next reservation, they could be leaving from Chicago, Los Angeles. It's totally up to you. Now from here, you would then check the dates that you want them going. This group is going from the 4th of October 2019 all the way to the 11th. If I wanted to, I could go through and I could click on any one of these dates, and maybe they don't want to go for the entire trip. Maybe they're flying in on Monday the 7th, and they're flying out at the end of the group's date. So they're still staying 4 days, but they're coming about midway through that group. You can customize that for each reservation within this dashboard. You can choose the number of adults and children. These will be at your contracted rates for your hotel. And from there, you're going to click on search. And let's just go ahead and do that right now. Now notice it said the air is not available, and the reason it did that was because, like I said, the air is not available for how far we set this date out. So I'm going to specifically check hotel only. Once again, we're going from New York. We're going to go down to JFK. Cancun, 4 nights, and we're just doing that hotel only. So I could add travel protection with the click of a button. One question that came in that I can answer right away: can deposits and final dates be modified to an earlier date set by the TA? Not inside the system, but if you want the deposits to be given to you sooner, you just set that deadline for your client and you can apply that information ASAP. It's totally up to you. You would apply it to that special parent reservation number, and I'm going to show you where that is after I book this group for us. So hotel features, I could add on transportation if I needed it. If this was an Apple or AM Resort, which you'd most likely be sending your clients to, you would be able to see that those transfers are included with Amstar. And also you could add any features on here as well. So I could click on features, I could add any tours or excursions that my clients may want to go on. And from here, I'm going to go to checkout. And I can scroll down. So somebody said, can travel protection be applied to some reservations and not others? Yes, the answer is yes. But just remember that usually we suggest that everybody on a reservation have travel protection together. That makes it a lot easier when you do need to cancel. That way that all the clients on that reservation are kind of being treated the same as far as how everything's going to be refunded and how money's going to be going back to the client. But between different reservations, one reservation could have the AVOK and the other reservation doesn't have to. Here's the 2 different rooms that we contracted for this particular reservation. I'm going to go with the oceanfront 1 bedroom. Notice when I click on it, it's going to refresh my page, and I'm going to be able to book that room for my client. So notice it just brought me right back down to the bottom, but I did get the higher room category. This is where I could add or remove transfers, but you're going to automatically have those attached with Amstar, so there's no need to remove. In your case, it comes with it. The penalty waiver or your AVOK travel protection, if this was the option for Apple Vacations, you would see that option there, and it will ask you to either decline or accept the AVOK. You have to do that before completing your individual reservations inside of the dashboard. Scrolling down here, I would put in information for my passengers. I'm just going to have this be my wife and I going on this trip. My wife's name is Sarah. She's pretty fantastic. All right. If you knew the flight number, in this case, let's say your clients were booking the flights outside of your group. Maybe they had rewards points or something like that. You at a different time could enter in their flight number so that the transfer company knows exactly when they're coming in, since that flight is not connected with that hotel by being booked maybe directly through the airlines with rewards points. If you decide to choose the air hotel package type, it's automatically going to send a transmittal over to the transfer company when that flight is coming in. But if the flight is not being booked on the reservation, you will need to let them know. If you don't know, just click on this box that says, I don't have that information at this time. I'm going to add it at a different time. You can send in special service requests to the hotel directly on the reservation as you're building it inside of your dashboard. You might want to let them know it's a king bed. They want a non-smoking room, anniversary. In addition to the wedding that they're going on, it's their anniversary. And then you could put in additional remarks. Maybe you want to let the hotel know, please put Clint on the ground floor. He just had surgery. Okay, in that case, you can then, once you click confirm the reservation, it's going to send that transmittal over to the company, and they're going to know, that resort will know that this is the request, and they'll put that into their notes. From here, we're going to scroll down, and it will tell you the deposit due date. Now, you might be like, well, didn't I already pay the deposit when I originally made the reservation? That is true. You did pay to the parent booking. What you want to keep in mind, though, is as you build these individual reservations, you are going to need to apply the deposit for each individual reservation after you book the reservation. So what do? We actually have a tab back on the dashboard where I'm going to show you how you can transfer money from that buffer booking to your individual reservation so that your clients are all set and ready to go. You can make payments with more than one credit card if you'd like, up to 4 with this particular example. You're still going to need to apply to the terms and conditions and approve them. And when we're ready, we're going to complete the booking. Remember, if you don't decline or accept the travel protection, it will take you back up to the top of the screen. Now, while that booking is completed, let me see if I can answer some of these questions on the go. Naima said, so you will add on the air later and add it into the price? That is an option. Here's what I would suggest you do. Don't book the reservation until you know what your client's air is going to be if you're going to be adding it on individually. The reason I say this is because if you book a reservation like I just did, which is hotel only, and you can see the reservation numbers right here, and I'll show you where it shows up in your dashboard momentarily. To add air on it at this point, you're going to need to call your groups team, and they're going to need to help you add it on with the assistance of our customer specialists. And in that case, that's going to take time for you. If you wait to book the air and the hotel together, well, you know that the hotel room's not going up in price because you contracted it. So you can leave those rooms in your inventory until the client says, hey, I know what flight I want. Can we get this booked? In that case, you can start booking the reservation and add the air on at the same time if they're flexible. If you decide to contract the air and the hotel together, I'm still going to say the same thing. Wait until you actually have to have those bookings made to add them with air if they're going to choose to do the air and hotel option. That's going to make it easier for you because then you're not booking any flights until your clients know what they are, and the hotel doesn't go up and it doesn't go down in price. It just saves you a call to have somebody assist you. So here's my reservation. If I want to, I can go over to where it says Groups by ALG. Over here, Groups by ALG, Generations, Riviera Maya. This is the group that we contracted, and this is where you're going to see all those reservations. So here's my reservation. This was the reservation I booked for myself. You can see all in the Reservations tab. This is the third section of your dashboard. So you're going to make your reservation over here, and then over here you can access your reservations. Notice this is that special reservation number that you made your deposit payments to. When your dashboard is created and you log in for the first time, you're going to notice over here where it says paid, that's where your deposit payments will reside. As you make your individual reservations, you can then go to where it says payment transfers, and you can transfer money from this parent booking, from that buffer booking, to your individual reservations. An example of why you might do this, maybe it's a bride and groom. I came across this just the other day. The bride and groom are paying for everybody in the group. Well, that's pretty cool. I wish I had friends like that would pave my way for their destination wedding. And if that's the case, they may make one big deposit payment using one credit card when you are building your group. Once that dashboard's open, you can come to the payment transfer tab and individually add that money onto each individual reservation of the people within that wedding group. Now, keep in mind, you cannot take money from the child bookings, and I say child not because there's children on it, but it's just underneath the parent bookings. I also refer to them as baby bookings. They live inside the house of the group. You cannot transfer money back to the parent reservation. You would need to work with your groups team and the accounting department to move that money back. Now, where do you keep track of your inventory? It's in the inventory tab. Pretty simple. You can see the total number of room nights that have been contracted for each date of your client's group. So let's just look at the Oceanfront Luxury Jacuzzi Suite. You can see there was a total of 10 room nights for each one of these dates. I already sold 4 of those nights to myself, okay, or maybe to somebody else that I booked on this group reservation. There's 9 room nights left available. Now, people ask me all the time, what if I run out of nights? What do I do? Well, you're going to contact your groups team, they're going to be able to go back to the hotel or whatever resort that you contracted with, and they're going to try to contract more rooms for you. So you're not always set to that price, but just keep in mind if we go back to the hotel at a later date, we may be contracting those rates at a different rate because it's always, whatever we can get with them. We try to get it as close to the original rate as possible, though. We also are going to contract, if you contract your exclusive vacation flights, you'll be able to see those right here, or you might be able to see scheduled published air if you decide to contract that way. Just keep in mind, if you do need to contract scheduled published air, whether it be bulk fare that's in scheduled air inventory or normal published air in scheduled air inventory, you're not going to be receiving any sort of commission, okay? The benefit of doing it with us is that you're going to be able to see the information of the flights that you've contracted, and you're going to know which ones you've sold to clients already and which ones that you still have in your inventory, but there is no sort of commission kickback when you're contracting scheduled published air with us. You can then see all the commission for each one of your reservations, the commission as a whole. And I will say that in our experience, the travel agent who books contracted groups receives on average about $5,000 in commission. So you can really do some amazing things when you're booking groups through ALG. All right, now let's actually go into one of these reservations. Now, before I even go in, notice it says payment request. One of the benefits of VAX is that you can send your client a payment request link via email. This link is active for up to 24 hours, and you're going to be able to send that out to the client, and they can pay using their credit card directly to any one of these reservations. Keep in mind, though, after 24 hours, that link becomes inactive, and you are going to need to send your client a new link if they want to use that feature. By clicking on the name of the reservation, I'm going to go into this one for Ben Recob. You can see that it's for him and Valerie. They're going to be traveling at the beginning of the group for 3 nights. If I wanted to, down here, I could add payments to this individual reservation. There's a section for those special service requests. Some hotels, I will warn you, might want you to add the request at the time of booking, and then after you make a reservation, it may not allow you to put those hotel requests in here. This hotel is not that way, though. You can do that after the reservation's been booked. The internal comments section, that's where you would put stuff just for your agents and just for your agency. You would not put, hey, I need an extra person on this room in there. Nobody's going to be looking at that. Modifications, this is where you could change passenger info. In some cases, if you have air on the reservation, you're going to need to change that by calling in. And since this is a hotel-only reservation, you could just probably change that information directly in here and just click on the change button, and that would complete the change for the name, the date of birth, or anything else that you may need to put in there. You can also change components. You can add features. Maybe you want to add a special tour. In this case, this person's going on 2 different tours while they're there. They're going to be very busy people. Hopefully they can make it to the wedding. And then anything regarding dropping passengers or changing reservation dates, I'm going to suggest that you call in for that, because in those cases, the best way to know what's going to happen with any sort of cancellation penalties, either with the group or with any airfare you might add on, that's going to be the best way to get on that. The copy reservation tab, I need to let you know this is not the same as the clone function that you may be familiar with. What it's going to do is it's going to copy the basic structure of this reservation. So it's going to keep the same dates. It's going to keep, ideally, the same hotel and maybe the same room category, but it always pulls at the current available rates. Because this is a contracted group, it's going to pull from your contracted hotel inventory. But some of these features might fall off if you're booking another reservation for 2 new people and you want it to be similar to Ben and Valerie's. So if you're going to do that, make sure that when you copy the reservation and move forward, check to see if any of those features have fallen off. Check to make sure it's the same as the previous reservation before completing the booking. And then lastly, I can complete cancel. So I can click on complete cancel and it's going to cancel this reservation. I can email an itinerary to my client directly. I can check my commission for just this individual booking by clicking on booking administration. You can add a service fee to your individual reservation for this person by going down into the modifications tab and clicking on change component. Inside of there, you're going to go to a screen that looks exactly like this, but it'll say modification in progress. And from there, you can actually click booking administration, and then you can add commission to your package using the set your own commission tool. Lastly, guys, before I go into all the great questions that have been asked, I'm going to go over to my dashboard again, and how you get there from being inside the reservation. Click on the title of your group up here in the price tag. My title is Groups by ALG. And when I click on that, I am back to my current booking dashboard. All right. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how this is going to look when we launch November 19th. Stay tuned for how the process is moving forward for requesting these group quotes. Just know that you're going to have an Apple anchor store that's going to show up in suppliers. It's going to say Apple Vacations. It's going to be the main hub on Vax for where you're going to want to learn everything about Apple Vacations on Vax. So with that, I'm going to leave the recording going so that I can record any of the questions that we have. Just keep in mind that if you have any questions, a great place to ask, and I'm going to pull this little document up here, you can always email implementation at currently marktravel.com. That's going to be changing in the near future with the Apple Leisure Group, but this is the current email address where you can get a hold of me or anybody else in our training. One of the questions was, where will this recording be? I have been recording the entire presentation. I'm unsure where the recording is going to be at. So once I find that out, I'm going to go back to the registration email, and I'm going to email out everybody who registered with an email address to today's presentation, and I'll let you guys know where it's going to reside. But today's presentation has been recorded with excellent audio. Sorry for the guys who were on here earlier and they were having some audio issues, but don't worry, everything that I've mentioned has been recorded in crystal clear audio as well as video. All right, so if you need to go, totally fine. I will not be offended if I see you drop off the caller list, but just to let you know, I'm going to hang around and answer as many questions as I possibly can. All right, so I'm going to start up at the very top. And we're just going to go down and I'm going to answer as many questions as I can in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So let me see here. We got, is there a new special phone number to call for a group's quote? You're going to be calling right now. The same process that you have currently for requesting a group quote is the group quote process. So wherever you've currently been applying for groups quotes, continue to do that. After November 19th, you're going to be going to the supplier section, and I'm just going to pull down our email address here. Supplier, Apple Vacation, and you're going to be able to learn everything you need to know about where to request that quote so that you can get that contracted group on Vax Vacation Access. Let's see. How many rooms to make a group? I've always been told a minimum of 10. Let's see. Here's a question. If we book a group with a group code and then Apple comes out with a promo code that is a lower rate and the client wants to know why they are seeing a lower price on Apple's website or through an email they get from Apple, will the client get a lower rate for their group? And I'm going to be honest, I'm unsure how the AVOK travel protection works, but I know for some of our Milwaukee brand travel protection, it's always been that you can always do the lowest price guarantee, even if promo codes come out, if you have that AVOK travel protection on there. In the past, booking groups and price matching groups with lower prices is something that our groups team has been known to do in the past, but they need to examine it. So always reach back out to the groups team in order to see if there's any way you can get a lower price or price match for that client. Let's see, what about a resort chain like Iberostar where there are multiple resorts next to each other at different price points? Can I still book group rates if people are staying at different resorts but still in the Iberostar resort area? So if you had groups of people staying in multiple different hotels, my guess is that each one of those groups, each one of those would be a separate group at a different hotel. So even if they're all coming for the same purpose, I think that the group rate that you're contracting with one Iberostar would be a different group rate for a different Iberostar. To me, that sounds like a multiple group process where those multiple groups just happen to be going down together. Let's see. Where's the Apple Cafe? I'm unsure. I know that that's not my place that I normally go. I would ask your business development manager about the link to the Apple Cafe. Or one of your other Apple Vacation Travel Agent friends. I don't have the exact link to that before. I just know it's a very well-made website to just right now help you with any of your Apple Vacation needs. If I have a sample contract, I will let you know, Peggy. Peggy was just asking, is there any way I can send you guys a sample contract once it comes out? I would say the best thing that you can do is to reach out to your business development manager and just say, hey, Clint from the Apple Leisure Group mentioned that you guys are still working on a contract. Is there any way you can send that on over to me? Is it done yet? I would say, Peggy, wait until we get a little bit closer to the 19th. That's going to give you the best option. All right, what if we book a group through Apple before November 19th? I'm assuming the rules won't change, correct? Right now, it's 6 rooms for a group, right? I'm unsure with that current process, but yes, whatever you're currently doing with a group before November 19th, just keep doing what you're doing. And then after that, come to Vax, go to suppliers, and click on the Apple Vacations Anchor Store. That's where you're going to find anything should it need to change. But it's my understanding that none of the policies are going to change. So if 6 rooms for a minimum is what it currently is, I don't foresee that changing. So I know before I said 10 rooms, that's what I know from the Milwaukee brands. But whatever you're currently doing with Apple, the policy's not going to change. It's really just the technology that you're going to be booking with is going to be better than ever before. All right, going back down. Hotel amenities standard vary by resort. Are they negotiable? The hotel amenities vary by resort, and I believe the groups team is the ones that negotiate them. So if there's a certain amenity that you've heard about that you're hoping to get on the contract, I would just work with your groups team and see if that's something available for your group. Colleen asks, will existing groups with Apple be transferred to Vax? I have a group final payment on November 14th. I do not believe that is going to happen. I believe that bookings that are currently made with your current process are not going to be transferred over to the Vax platform, but I believe bookings made after a specific date, and don't quote me on that specific date. Oh, cool. Monica Medina actually gave us the Apple Cafe web address, and I'm going to put that into the chat. So it is http://ta.travelagentcafe.com/. I'm sending that on over to everybody. All right, moving down forward. Can we do flights from multiple cities? Yes. If you need to do flights from multiple cities and the clients want to be in the same room, we call that a multi-origin reservation. You're going to need to contact your groups team to help make that happen. There's some stuff we need to do in our back office system to have a client, let's say, leaving from Los Angeles and another one leaving from JFK, be in the same room down in the destination. But it is possible within the same reservation. Otherwise, if you can do it, I would book a different reservation for each passenger. If they're going to be staying in separate rooms, that would be the easiest to do. Will existing rooms with Apple be transferred to Vax? No, they will not. It's going to be reservations made after a specific date, and I believe it's sometime in 2019. So contact your BDM and reach out to them, and they'll confirm when that date is. Can the deposit date or final date be modified to an earlier date? I mentioned that earlier. You would need to just have your clients pay earlier if you want them to. You can't make the deposit payments until we give you that parent reservation number, and that happens after you sign the contract. Within 10 days of you receiving the contract, you need to sign it, send it in, and then they'll move forward, the groups team will, with building your dashboard. And once that happens, you'll be able to make those deposits. If the date is far out, can we add later? Absolutely. Are the payment plans for hotel-only groups, are there payment plans? That was the question. The payment plan is what we mentioned in the quote. So if we go back up here, I think what you're asking is, can you use, some sort of, I know that currently Milwaukee Brands have a third-party kind of loan company that assists with clients for making long-term payment plans. I don't know what that looks like in the future of Apple, so I'm going to let your BDM speak to that point. But currently, they can basically, after making the deposit, no more payments are needed until that final payment amount is due, when the whole group payment is needed 65 days prior, or I think it used to be 90 days. All right, let's see, another question. I don't know the question was asked, but when Apple Vacation goes live, will Vax keep the initial deposit of $250 per person the same? I'm unsure about that. What I've been told is that all policies are going to remain the same. The technology is what's going to be updated. This is a good question. Adding nights outside of the contracted dates, you're going to work with your groups team to make that happen. It can happen. So if somebody wants to come a day before the entire group comes, we can do that. But we're going to need to work with the team to make that happen. So you're gonna call in for that. Can travel protection be applied to some reservations? We answered that. Does everyone in a room have to take travel protection if one person wants it? I believe the answer to that is yes. Does adding their air create a package with the same due date as the hotel? Adding the air is going to create a special. It depends on the airfare. Usually, that air is going to be required, like I believe 3 days to maybe the same day as when the reservation's booked. So you may need to make payment to that original reservation, and just keep in mind that the deposit will be higher if your client has airfare on it. So you'll have the $50 per person for the hotel, but they're also going to need to pay that extra amount of the deposit towards the airfare, and the system will let you know what that is. When air is available, will there be a pop-up to add it to their trip? The answer is no. If you've already booked the reservation and it was just a hotel only, you need to call in and have us assist you. Otherwise, if it's just a hotel only, remember, you can cancel that reservation. It's not going to change the hotel price, and then you just book a new reservation with the air hotel package. That's the quick way to do it. All right, a few more questions here before we need to leave, and then I'll pull up my email in case you guys need to. Let's see. What about pre and post stays? Same thing. You're going to need to contact in, and we can help you add those to individual clients' reservations. Is there a way you can edit a reservation later date so that when the air does become available, you can add it through the booking engine? Nope, you're going to need to call in to add it. I know that's a pain in the you-know-what, but it ensures that you're getting the right airfare, and it ensures that it's being added in such a way that you're not going to be charged should the clients decide to make any changes with it. Let's see, can special service requests after booking? Yes, with certain hotels. Other hotels, it needs to be added at the time of booking. If you need a special service request after that, just work with your group's team, and they're going to be able to send all those in for you, even if we need to contact the hotel. Yes. One of the most important things. So rooming list, Excel sheet. If I scroll down to the bottom, you can export all of this information to an Excel document so that you can let the clients know who's paid, who hasn't paid, for your own bookkeeping purposes. It's totally up to you. All right, everybody, I am out of time, but if you have a question that was not answered, and I'm going to leave this up here for a while, you can email implementation@marktravel.com. I have Julie's question and also Peggy's question from the very beginning of the webinar that I'm going to hunt down the answer to and try to send them the answers. So if you could just email me at implementation@marktravel.com. We are looking forward to Apple launching on November 19th Thank you for all you guys that joined today. This was a fantastic time. You had absolutely wonderful questions. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to every one of you, but just remember, we have groups presentations going on throughout the month of November. So this was the first one in October, but I think we have groups presentations going on at least twice a week leading all the way up to Thanksgiving. So join one of those. You may hear a different presenter with a different perspective, and we're going to be developing a frequently asked questions document and hopefully being able to have those answers right on call on the webinar. So guys, thank you so much for coming. Once again, my name is Clint. I work with ALG, and the email you can reach me at is right here. So you guys all have a fantastic day. Once again, thanks for joining, and we will see you on the webinar soon.